Hello everyone, Denise here. Today I'm doing the stitch for September, Paying It Forward Friday. We are using some yarn from the dollar store. This is Premier Just Active worsted and an eye hook, and that is what it calls for. There's 109 yards in these. They're 80% polyester, 20% acrylic. They're very nice yarn. They're $1.25 at Dollar Tree. I picked a whole bunch up for another project, and I thought it would be nice to use them for the stitches on Paying It Forward Friday, since I don't use a lot of yarn unless I'm making the entire project. But today I'm just doing a swatch. I am showing you how to do the cluster stitch flat, worked flat. So there are a lot of variations of the cluster stitch, and I'm going to show you how I prefer to make mine. You will need to know how to double crochet, do a chain, do single crochets, pretty basic stuff, so a beginner can do this. This would be good for blankets, scarves, hats that are flat, made flat, and then cowls that are made flat, fingerless gloves that are made flat. Any project you want to work flat, dishcloths, anything. So I'm going to go ahead and start with, you want to start with a foundation row of an even number. However you, whatever kind of project you want to make sure it's an even number. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We'll do 12. Since I'm just doing a swatch with this. I wanted to show you this stitch with a variegated yarn, but I want to show how to make the stitch with a single colored yarn. So we're going to start there. So second chain from the hook, we are going to place a single crochet. In the next chain, we are going to do another single crochet. You're going to chain one, we're going to skip one, put a single crochet in the next, chain one, skip one, single crochet in the next, and do that all the way across till we get to our last two. In the last two, we do that single crochet and then a single crochet in the very last. So you start with 2 single crochets and you end with 2 single crochets. Now we're going to chain 4, and that counts as a double crochet. Chain 1, turn your work. So now we're going to start the cluster stitch. You want to find your chain 1 spaces, so you always know that first row you do the single crochet, so the next one should be the chain 1, so it's right there. So we're going to put the cluster stitch right there. So you yarn over, go into that space, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go in the space, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go in the space, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2. You'll have 4 loops on your hook. You'll yarn over and go through all 4, and then chain 1. That's a cluster stitch. Now you'll find your next chain 1 space and put another cluster stitch in that. So yarn over, go in the space, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go in the space, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go in the space, pull up a loop, go through 2, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, go through all 4, and chain 1. I have 2 more to do because I can see the 2 chain 1 spaces there. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with that cluster stitch. Always remember to chain 1 after your cluster stitch. Okay, now I'm to the end of my row, and you might not be. So if you're not, go ahead and pause the video and come back to me when you are ready. Always want to make sure you chain 1. Now there's 2 single crochets left. At the beginning of our row, remember we had a chain 4, that's a double crochet and a chain 1, and then we started our cluster stitches. So we want to finish that way. So we have our chain 1, now we just need to put a double crochet in the last stitch. So that's our first row of cluster stitches. So our row 1 we did single crochets, row 2 we did our cluster stitches, and now that's going to be the repeat for the rest of the project, but I will show you where to put the stitches in this third row because it'll be a little different than our foundation row. So we'll chain 1, turn our work. You will see the first stitch here, the double crochet we made, we're going to put a single crochet in that. We're going to put a single crochet in that chain 1 space that we had from our cluster stitch. Then we're going to chain 1 and find our in between of our cluster stitches and put a single crochet there. Chain 1, single crochet in between the 2 clusters. Chain 1, single crochet in between the 2 clusters. Chain 1. Did I chain 2? No. Chain 1, single crochet in between the last double crochet and the cluster, and then we want to put a single crochet at the top of that chain 4 from our previous row. So that's our row 3. So every other row that will be what you do, and then you will do the repeat of the cluster stitch row. So you'll chain 4, turn, you will find your chain 1 space. So remember, we had a single and a single, so here's our chain 1. So that's where we put our cluster. Go into the next one, do the same thing. This is one of my favorite stitches, so that's why I wanted to highlight this one. I think it looks great with any yarn, any yarn. But I particularly like it with the slow striping or variegated yarns, and I do want to show what that looks like. But I did want to show you how to do the stitch. It's so pretty. I just love it. All right, let me grab some variegated yarn and I'll show you what it looks like with that. Okay, I just grabbed some yarn that I had dyed. And there's speckles in it. There's some blue in it. But it is variegated, so, and an eye hook would be good to use on it. So I don't have to switch a lot of things up here. Find the end of it. Here it is. This is the yarn. Since I'm a red, white, and blue gal, that's the way I do. Scoot that to the side. Okay, so I'm going to start like I did before, just so that in case this is too mingly looking to learn from, you have that original one that is a solid color. We need an even number, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Single crochet in the next. Chain 1. Skip 1. Single crochet in the next. Chain 1. Skip 1. Single crochet in the next. Chain 1. skip 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next, single crochet in the last, chain 4, turn your work, identify your single crochet space, and cluster stitch in that, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go in the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, go through 2, till you have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, go through all 4, and chain 1. Repeat that across your row. Double crochet in your last. You chain 1, turn your work, single crochet in the first, single crochet in that chain 1 space, chain 1, single crochet in between your cluster stitches, chain 1, do that across, make sure to single crochet in between your chain 4 from the previous row and your cluster stitch, and then single crochet at the top of that, the third chain of the chain 4. Chain 4, turn your work, identify where your chain 1 space is and cluster stitch in that. That is my bird clock. I found it while going through my yarn in my closet. I was like, why is this not in a room? When I redid my bathroom, it used to be in my bathroom. When I redid my bathroom, I took it out of there and I forgot about it. There wasn't batteries in it, so I didn't hear it going off. And when I was digging through my yarn, I found it, and I do love that clock. I bought it at a rummage sale probably 10 years ago, and each hour it chimes a different bird, and I love birds. So isn't that so pretty? So pretty. So you want to repeat each row. You'll do a single crochet row with the chain 1 and put the single crochets in between your cluster stitches, and then the next row you will be doing your cluster stitch row. I just love the way, I love cluster stitch. It is absolutely one of my favorites. I want to try it with a different yarn, so bear with me while I experiment. You can make this in any yarn. Just make your hook, use what is recommended on your package. I'm gonna try it with this facets yarn from Michaels, just because I haven't had an opportunity to use this colorway. It is Flame. It is one of their new yarns. It's a worsted weight 4. It calls for a J, so I better change my hook out a bit. Get a J. We'll see what it looks like with it. I bet it looks great. Like I said, I think this stitch looks great with any yarn. have used it in the past, and I really enjoy this stitch. Next week will be the in the round projects with a cluster stitch, and I already have a couple on my channel. I have some fingerless gloves, and I have a hat, which I love. Those hats that I made in the video, those are my hats. Okay, so again, we are going to make an even chain. This yarn is so pretty. So I have 12 here. Going to single crochet in my second chain from the hook, going to single crochet in the next stitch, going to chain one, going to skip one, going to single crochet in the next one, going to do that across the row. Going to be getting close to the end here, so you put a single crochet in your last, and then chain 4, turn your work, find your chain 1 space, put a cluster stitch in that. So yarn over, go in the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go in the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go in the stitch, yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through all 4, and chain 1. And then we do that in every chain 1 space that we see on our row. Very simple pattern, one that is good to do while you are watching TV, while you are talking. You just got to remember you have 4 loops on your hook before you're done with your stitch. My yarn is caught up. I'm going to start over because I don't remember what I did. I feel like J is too big of a hook for this yarn, but at least for me, I am snagging right there. One more to go. Yeah, I'm getting split, and I am messing up all over the place. Oh my gosh. Get it together. It is so distracting when my yarn is pulling on my desk. I have not found a solution to that yet. Okay, to the end here, we did the chain 1 after the cluster stitch, so I need to put a double crochet in that last. Chain 1, turn. Oh, that's pretty. Be nice if I got to a color change here so I can check it out. Okay, the third row is single crochet in your first, single crochet in between the cluster stitch and your previous row, chain 4, and then you chain 1, you find your space in between your cluster stitches and put a single crochet there, chain 1, single crochet in between the 2, chain 1, single crochet in between the 2, chain 1, single crochet in between your chain 4 and your cluster, and then you need to put a single crochet in the third chain of your chain 4. Chain 4, identify your chain 1 space, put a cluster stitch in that. 4 loops on your hook. So if you can't see it, try to feel it, because once you rub your project, you will feel that there is a space there. So with this yarn, it's a little hard to see because it's got like a slight halo. So just feeling it, I can feel where it's at. So if you're working with fuzzy or a variegated yarn that is hard to identify your stitches, or like this one that has a slight halo, go ahead and feel the project and then you will find your chain 1 space. Okay, make sure you chain 1, put a double crochet in that last stitch. Then you just keep repeating the single crochet row with the cluster stitch row. Problem with this is now if I go to frog this, how much of a problem am I going to have? Because this yarn does not frog that great. It's like landscapes, Lion Brand Landscapes, or Red Heart Unforgettable, in that it likes to tangle on itself. We'll see though, that's really pretty. That's really pretty. I like that a lot. Looks like we're getting into a little bit lighter and then it will go a little darker. So I'm just going to continue on for a bit just to see what it's going to look like. And then this will give you an idea if you want to use this yarn on a project. Just remember, if you're using these yarns that are a little bit, that have a halo, or the single ply roving like this is a single ply. They have a tendency to be harder to take your work back or frog, and a lot of times it will just break the yarn. So just keep that in mind. They are wonderful to work with, minus that. So just be careful. But I'm being careful, but this is not a project, so I am going to attempt to frog it. Right here. Chain 1, double crochet in the last, oh, it's kind of a puffy stitch. It's very pretty. I like that a lot. I like this yarn. Okay, so this is a yarn that I dyed with speckles and some variegation there. And then you have the facets by Loops and Threads. And then the Just Active by Premier. So it looks good with all of those. It's pretty with all of those, in my opinion. The stitch definition is pretty pronounced with the Premier yarn, but that's because it's solid color and you can see the stitches better. But it looks good with all three. All three are just beautiful, in my opinion. So I'm gonna try to frog this and see what happens, just for fun. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Oh, hung up. So when you get hung up, try not to pull too hard. It's usually 1 or 2 fibers that are stuck into each other. So you can see, possibly, but this is looped around there, so piece of hair on my hand. Okay, no, now it's stuck to this hand. Well, this isn't that bad to frog at all. Just when it gets caught up on itself, try to be careful. You can see that there's a couple of fibers in there that are just not in the right spots. Pull your stitches apart instead of just pulling, if that makes sense. Pull at it from different directions. There you go. That's what I meant. Oh, this one's pretty good. This one's pretty knotted. Not sure I'm gonna get that one. What is with this piece of hair? Yep. There we go. So now you know what I meant by it's not easy to frog. Yeah. This one's not really that bad, to be honest. Just gotta have a little patience with it if you're not willing to sacrifice the yarn. I don't know if I'm gonna get this one. Anyway, this is a thrilling video. Yeah, I'm not gonna get that one. So I got really close as far as getting it all out without killing the yarn. So that is that. So go grab some yarn, go grab the hook that matches your yarn, and have some fun. This is an easy stitch. Like I said, you can make blankets, scarves, hats that are flat, cows that are flat. You can make dishcloths. You can make anything you want as far as flat projects go. And yeah, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, guys, bye.